Welcome back to another episode of the Sports Card Dad. It is the Pick Six podcast. We missed last week. Unfortunately, DPZ and I are it's bonkers. My father-in-law is in town from Italy. Good news is that great pasta and great food every single day. Bad news is he doesn't speak English. He's 71 years old. And sometimes he needs stuff from me and I can't figure out what he needs. And it's a little bit of a scramble. But how are you doing today, Dennis?
Doing good, brother. Doing real good, brother. Yeah, no. At least you get some good food, man. I mean, pasta from Italy, cooking from Italy. I mean, you got to love that. So you got to take that. Take one for the team, for yourself there.
There's some pros. There's some pros. Definitely some pros. Well, today we are going to fire up conversation around the junk wax era. Junk wax era is back, baby. And so DPZ, explain to us, or if you were going to go in another direction, go ahead.
No. I think that's a great segue. Pasta, junk wax, kind of works.
Italian baseball players. Mike Piazza? Anyway, whatever. Go ahead.
Piazza. Yeah, his rookie card. So yeah, junk wax era. Something I was noticing the other day, and I haven't done all the research. Kind of like, is this a trend amongst all the junk wax era rookie cards from the players that a lot of us in our age group collect? This is really going to kind of really narrow in on our age group. Okay, if we're not talking about the youngins out there collecting modern, we're not really speaking to you right now. Sorry if this is an episode that's not going to speak to you, but I feel like we talk about 90s a lot and everybody seems to really enjoy it. So I feel like our crowd is pretty much our age, and we like talking about the same stuff that we all grew up collecting. So if you want to go get your Greg Jeffries rookie card, get ready. 88 Donruss, 89 Future Stars. Get ready for Greg Jeffries. There's 89 scores.
You thought the spec was over for Jeffries and Todd Van Poppel, but we're reviving it now.
No, we're coming back with a vengeance. Now, see, here's what's really interesting about that. There is something that's kind of cool about going back and getting those cards, because when you look at that card, when you look at a Greg Jeffries, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a Greg Jeffries. I wonder if he's even in the 88 Donruss. Greg Jeffries, and this is really, I'm really playing off Jeffries. He's not who I was intending to talk about, but it's kind of funny. PSA 10.
I'm pulling up a card too. While you're doing that, I have another. Yep. Like I'll have an example as well.
So I don't think I'm going to find one on Card Ladder, so I'll have to go somewhere else, but that's okay. The point I'm trying to make is on this whole theory is that you have cards, the Ken Griffey Jr. 89 tops traded, not the Tiffany. Those PSA 10s, 89 upper deck, PSA 10, 9 is only $40. I feel like you're seeing a trend where people, the bigger cards, the bigger 90s cards, and maybe 2000s cards, those big cards are they're getting out of there. I mean, they've already been getting out of. We've been saying this probably for a year now. But they're becoming unattainable. They're becoming too expensive for most of us to justify in any way, shape, or form, responsibly in any way, shape, or form buying. Now, I'm doing a lot of that, but I'm always selling something to buy it, right? I'm not putting our family up. I'm taking a card I bought a while ago and I sell it to buy it. There you go. Don McCaskey. You're doing the binder thing, which we can wrap the binder thing into this.
We'll wrap it in. Yeah, I had to throw this up for the nostalgia. Don McCaskey. I remember this guy being all over Beckett magazine. He's the next great Packers quarterback, the Magic Man. And then, of course, didn't pan out. But then Favre, they got Favre on the back end of the Magic Man. But this is fun to bring up.
Super cool. Yeah, and that 89 score product, which I know is so near and dear to your heart, that's like your favorite product. I think that there is going to be a migration back to those PSA 10s. People are going to want like the perfect version of those junk wax cards because they weren't that great. The quality control was awful. So yeah, there's probably a lot more of them produced, but the PSA 10s, if you look at them, they're not. I mean, if you look at a pop report. Now, I was going to pull up Greg Jeffries, but I'm getting off topic. You can go collect a guy like that, and it brings back nostalgia. But what I want to look at is Ken Griffey Jr. I'm just going to highlight the Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah.
PSA 10.
More common.
More common card. It's a popular card. It's kind of defined that generation of this is the card that we all knew and loved from back in the day. And I think it's a card that speaks to a lot of us. And it's a card that can kind of be like a beacon as to what's going on. If I can just find a darn thing. Man, I'm having a hard time navigating this thing here. It's not the card louder guy's fault. It's my fault because I'm not very good at this. I'm probably doing something wrong. Oh, I put $88. That's probably why, Dennis. All right, here we go. Be a ding-a-ling here. Figure it out. But I'm seeing an uptick in the 1989 Donruss Ken Griffey Jr. rated rookie. And let me show you. I need to actually probably share my screen. Oh, you can see me doing all this stuff. I'm looking like an idiot. Great. That's all on the show. Awesome.
It's all right.
All right. That's okay. So you can see here, let's like kind of look down here, February 11th, it's kind of a good spot because you got a couple outliers here, 404, 419. You go 380, Fort's 24, 375 dip down, 500, 500, 3, 4, 500, 400, and see 500. And so now there's like, I think 3 for sale.
Yeah, that's crazy. If you go back 6 months, if you go back December, Jan, it's like 350 or something.
Look
it's
right
like
back here, September, even back in September, $200.
Wow, yeah, that's wild. That was not on my radar at all that those had moved up.
Now, and what's important to understand is this is 1989 Donruss. This is like a very iconic set, probably the most produced set. One of the most, 89 was like the pinnacle of, in the 89, 90, and 91, those 3 years, I believe, they just went so crazy. We were all still collecting, and we all kind of tapered off after that. So I feel like there's that big gap. There's that little frame of time there where we were all just all about it. Maybe some of us went back to 87. I was personally probably 88 on. I'll be perfectly honest. I was not buying 87 Donruss or 87. I wasn't buying that when I was at. I started actually buying packs in 88. So I went back and bought packs because they were still in stores sometimes. You go to like the drugstore and they'd have packs. They'd still have 88 in there and 87, and you'd buy it. But the 89 Donruss, I remember going to gas stations. I remember the packs. So it was like, yellow, the yellow, red, and just it's vivid memory. When you see those packs, it's like it opens up a part of your brain that you like, whoa, it takes you back. Those cards are nostalgic for this period, and they're really cool, and they're very inexpensive. And something else that's interesting to look at, you look at an 88. I don't know if this is showing up now on the screen, but it's not, because it's not going to change. But I'm looking right now at a 1988 Donruss PSA 10 Nolan Ryan. What is like 20th year card? It's at $92 on memory lane on eBay. It ends in 4 days, 7 hours.
Does it show you the pop for that? Does it show you on eBay the pop for it, DPZ?
It doesn't. Let's look up the pop. So maybe it'll show up here. This would be Nolan Ryan. And this is just a Nolan Ryan. There's a part of me that wonders if this is just like it's not just rookie cards. Like,
yeah, I don't know if it'll show up in Card Ladder because it's the baseball. I don't know if they'll have that card in there.
Probably not. But you can look at the sales history. That'll still show up. $99, $70. Will it say anything about a pop here? Probably not. Pop. Okay, it does. It gives you there's 1,800 of them. Gem rate of 18%. So this is probably not the best example because it's a $100 card, but it's getting a gem mint version of those cards. And if any of you have ever sent in any cards from your collection,
that's a good point.
Or buy packs or buy sets and try to send them in, you never gem. They're impossible.
I feel like this is actually kind of a sneaky play. I agree with you because you're right. The reality is that pop is actually really low for PSA 10s. Like that doesn't even that's wild.
The problem is you only have 80 and there's only 800 something. There's not very many that have been, the total population is 1,800 for Nolan Ryan. If you use this example, the data of a gem rate, but 882.
You know what's weird though? I'm wondering if that's correct. Because if we look at how is it that there's 319 10s and then there's 242 9s and then that doesn't add up for a junk wax era card. Usually it's the other way.
The other way around. So let's look at one that's the other way around. So if you do look at
I'm going to look. Which card is that? Is it 88 Donruss?
88 Donruss.
I'm just going to look it up on the. I'm going to look it up on the PSA website. Maybe the data just didn't cross over properly.
Card Ladder's pretty strong. Alt is usually the one that has trouble. You're off by a couple sometimes, but they're pretty strong.
Let's see here.
But go ahead. Yeah. I think with the base Griffey, this is a good one because it's just so universal. Here's the pop-up.
It does say that. It's 3. It's exactly the same.
Yeah, they're card letters always spot on. 89 Donruss rated rookie base. I mean, that's why I use card letter. Like they're like my go-to for pretty much all of it. So look at this: 50,000 of these suckers were graded. 2,100 are not. Or there's only 2,200. There's this. When I originally owned this like 5 years ago, and I went and bought a 10 for like $250, something like that. The pop was like 1,500. So that's how many more have been gemmed, and that's how many more have been 49,681. So that's a gem rate of 4.2% over everything, and a gem rate of 4.43% in PSA. That's not bad. That's not bad. That is a very low gem rate. That's a card that is not easy to gem. And there's reasons. Like if you're a Griffey guy, you know exactly why it's hard to gem. But just in general, junk wax it's the surface that really kills you on those 80s cards. The card could look amazing. You pull it out of a set, sharp corners, it's super centered, everything looks amazing. You don't see any defects.
Look up the 88 Topps Bo Jackson rookie, the football rookie card, because that one obviously like heavily printed card. But I'm just curious what the pop looks like on that.
Yep, another one that I used to have. Really cool card.
Great card.
Yeah, the super rookie. So the pop on this is 601, 16,000, a gem rate of 3.63%. It goes down of 20,000. So obviously most of them are PSA, because everybody knows PSA. That's where everybody's going to grade their cards.
Wow, the PSA 10 price has gone up. That PSA 10 price, going back a couple of years ago, it was probably $1,000 if I remember.
So let's look at that. Let's look and see what's going on with the 80, and then we can go to the 89 score. Barry Sanders is another fun one. But now look at that. We're up to $1,800, May 9th. Let's see where we started in the beginning of the year, $1,600. Let's see where we started back in September, where we saw that one number for the Griffey, $1,200.
Okay, yeah.
I think there's we're in real time on this show. We might be looking at a trend here, buddy. Like I wonder if there is an opportunity. If there's a play, not a play so much as if you want to get some of these really cool cards that mean something to you nostalgically. Because I'll be perfectly honest, I love all these '90s cards. They're so cool. No nostalgia. I have no connection to them. Right. Other than the fact that I know they're cool and I've learned that they're cool and they're rare and that's what I want to put money into, and they're on my favorite players and players that matter to me, there's no nostalgia. All the nostalgia is right here, guys. If we're really talking, being honest, let's look at Barry. 2,500. Okay, so 1,300.
Yeah, so this is consistent. I think this price has stayed fairly consistent, but I think it's probably because it shot up and then it just kind of held steady there.
And Barry's had a bit of a surge lately with all of his 90s cards selling for a lot. So 33,000 in PSA and 2,500. That's a gem rate of 7%, a little higher, but there's a lot. 48,000. This is a highly produced card, and it's been graded a lot. Let's look at sales and see if, like you said, it hasn't really changed a whole lot. Let's see if that's. I mean, you can look at here; it hasn't moved a ton, but let's look at the macro data. It's now at 1,350. You're right. It's pretty much stayed.
That one stayed a little flat. Yeah.
Go back to that September number because we're using a common denominator or a common place. Boy, it sells a lot. Holy cow.
Well, did you say how many 10s were there? Like 2,500 or something? Because if we compare to the Bo Jackson, there was like 600 10s.
Yeah. Barry Sanders, Bo Jackson. Okay, let's look at this though, real quick. We got Barry Sanders. 48,000 have been graded. Let's go back and see how many have been graded. I probably should have 2 pages for this. I don't know why I'm not doing that, but you know what? I'm old school and old. So do it manually every single time because that's what I do. And I'm pecking on the keyboard, doing all the wrong things. But here's the Bo, 43,000. What did I say? 43,000, 46,000 total, 20,000. So not even nearly the amount. Bo hasn't been graded nearly as much.
And half of the gem rate, basically.
Half the gem rate. So Barry's pretty much the same as Bo. If you think about it, if they graded another 20,000, right? So, but his prices have gone up. There's less of them. I think that also speaks to people look at the lower number and go, hey, that should be worth more. But if you do the math, and here's a whole nother, like we can veer around 1,000 different ways here, but assuming that if you graded another 20,000 Bows, and I know 88 Topps, unless somebody out there knows better, let us know in the comments. it should have been a highly produced set. Why weren't more sent in? You'd think Bo is a pretty big deal, especially in that era. If 20,000 more were graded, maybe this 601 is more of a 1,200 or maybe even more. And maybe this price comes down and is affected by it. But it's not that far away from Barry, even though it's like a quarter of the pop. It's a $1,700 card, $1,800 card, and Barry's $1,300. So it tells you Barry's way more important. He's obviously way more collected. But there's just something to be said about putting together a collection of these PSA 10s of these cards from that era. Maybe now is the time to go snag some of these before they start getting out of control.
Can you look up 86 tops traded bonds, Barry bonds? 86 tops traded. And I'm curious on this one because I bought one of these and sold it. So I bought one to buy other stuff. I bought one for like $225 and I sold it for about $300. But I'm just curious like where that one is currently. Yeah, it's a
412 card, 87,000 population. Obviously, it's these are all rookie cards. We're comparing across light cards. They're all rookies. 87,000 tops is always like the card, right? Score kind of came in 89, right, or 88, and so scores that was the big. Well, 89 is the first year for football, but 87,000, a gem rate of 8%, 412, and then we can look at sales history and we'll see if we can find Dustin's sale here somewhere. Looks like it has been pretty consistent, kind of bopping up around 400 consistently. Over 400, but it's been 530s an outlier. I'm not seeing anything. Let's go down to now in the threes, down in the threes, consistently in the threes in January. Okay, this is another card now. Okay, we're seeing it in baseball, I guess, more.
That's fun. I should have held on to that one. I hated to let it go, but I was like, I'll make a few bucks on it, and I wanted to buy other things. But I love that card. Around
the same time we've looked at every one of these cards, this was just like the Griffey, is around $250 card. Now it's a $420 card, selling consistently up in the 4s and 5s. Okay, I think we have enough of a data subset here.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at basically the last 12 months doubled in price for some of these.
Yeah, I mean, a little less than that. We're going back to September of last year on all these cards.
Yeah.
To be consistent. But yeah, it's okay. What's another card do you think would be a good? Okay, let's look at the 89 Upper Deck Griffey, a little bit more expensive card.
Yeah, let's look at that.
Still like a super,
and a 10.
Iconic. Yeah, 10. Ken Griffey Jr. And here's his star rookie right now is at 2,700. This is the pop's going to blow your mind on this one here. 179,000 of them have been graded. 119,000 from PSA alone. 4,300's at $2,700 right now. So now you have 3% gem rate. Okay, keep that in mind. 4,300. Now 4,300 sounds like a lot when you stack it up against 119,000. And honestly, I sometimes, for the most part, Dustin, I'll go, okay, it's 4,300 of them out of 179. Because let's all be honest. Unless it's a black label or if it's, a pristine 10 on BGS, everything else doesn't stack up. Look, these prices, they don't even have a price in CGC, like 1,900 SGC. This is the only one that kind of remains king of all, but I kind of use this number with all that. So all of that, what I sometimes do is I take the 179, I go down and go, all right, okay, only take 113 away. I mean, that's nothing. 179,000, 4,300 out of that. That's your true gem rate, which is like even lower, right? So, done geeking on that. Let's look at the sales. It's currently at 2,800. It's been slowly creeping up. You got a 3 right here is kind of an outlier. You're always going to have an outlier here and there. Somebody gets excited, had too much to drink, started watching old highlights of Griffey, smashes the bin, happens. Most of us have done it. 26, 3. Now, somebody got really excited in April, smoking weed, felt nostalgic. Keep going down. All right, let's get all the way down. Yeah, you can kind of see a trend, but this has been bouncing around between 2 and 3. So this might not be serving our purpose here. But let's get back to where we like to see it.
So maybe this one is kind of more like 89 score, where it's just always very popular and just kind of
more of a berry. Yeah, more of a berry. But let's go down here.
Yeah.
No, it's not. No, I think we've stopped 22, 19, 18, 18. We've used like September 12th on every one of them. You're 21, 18, 22, 18. So it's kind of hanging around between 2 and 18.
Yeah. So 6 to 9 months ago, it was quite a bit less.
some ups and downs, but we're at 28.
Damn.
I think we're seeing movement. And we just did it in real time, so we're not like just saying it out loud. We just showed you the data.
Yeah, and actually, and to give us zero credit, DPZ and I didn't even really look into this before the video. This was like, hey, let's do live research, because I think you looked at a card or two, and you're like, I think I saw something, and we just did some live research. So there you go.
What's another PSA 10 for one more? I'll do one more example that is really popular that could give it.
Well, what about, so if we're just thinking nostalgia, what about the Donruss Jose Canseco? Because that was such a huge card. Why don't we just look at it? You know, obviously he didn't have a very good career.
Idea. The GOAT card of all time. That's one I think I just want to get.
Because if that's moving, then that's an ultimate nostalgia move. That's strictly like people remember the card as a kid. Because obviously Canseco didn't have a Barry Bonds career.
No. Okay, he didn't have it graded. And this is kind of interesting how it's not been graded that much, 14,000. Now, did 86 Donruss, was it not produced as much? You're getting back there a ways where, because I wasn't thinking junk wax back to 86. I wonder when people assume, I think people assume junk wax starts in 87. Those of you in the comments, because I know all of us are going to geek on this subject, because we all are near and dear to our hearts. When do you think junk wax era began? That's a super cool question, because I feel like it was 87, 88. I don't feel like it went back to 86, because you get back to 85 and 84 and 83. Those PSA 10s are worth quite a bit of money. Like, you know, the Tony Gwynns, the Don Mattingly's, those cards are not cheap.
Oh, yeah,
They're expensive cards. Now you're starting to talk about cards you're spending money on in the 90s, right? So still staying in the junk wax means you're kind of staying down here. 14,000 is not a big population of grading, obviously. The gem rate's going to be high because there's not very many graded. But let's look at the price. Let's look at the sales history. Looks like it's kind of all up and down and around. But we're at 458, and you could probably average between 550. We're about 470, 450, and probably 450 if you take the last few sales.
450? That seems like a lot.
It's been 450 for a minute, though. You have some outliers, 500, 370, 416, 350. I mean, I remember it being 350 for a while, so it's definitely up about $100. Let's go back. It's a card that sells a lot too, so you get a lot of data. Who spent? I thought I saw 700. Someone got really drunk. Just started watching like one of those baseball videos. Oh, no, I'm going way too far back. I'm sorry, folks. All right, so we're going up to September 12th. 316. We're back down to 316. A Mile High, Fanatics Weekly. Auction eBay 400, so a little bit. 455, a little bit. Here's one. I'm gonna try this one only because I feel like it's gonna give us, you know, a little more expensive look. Let's go to 84 Donruss, Don Mattingly, because that's one of those iconic cards, and I wonder if those cards are having any movement. And there's not as many of them, but Mattingly. Let's see if we have any movement on him. $3,100. I feel like that's down. Okay, the pop real quick. 19,000. See, I think 84, 85, 86. I think you're seeing, I don't think as many cards. This is a very popular card. This is a card you'd expect to be graded a ton. Only 19,000 tells me they just weren't printing as many of them back then, right? That makes some sense. Sales, it is 3,200. 34.3, bouncing around. I know I paid $4 for it a while ago, so I don't think this is going to be a very good indicator. But we're hanging out in the 3s and 4s. Whoa, someone got excited. No, it was an auction. I wonder what was going on that auction. Sometimes you got to wonder about that. 51's probably a high. But you go back to, no, it doesn't sell that much, so you got to come back to September. 4. It's actually down. It's actually down. So
there you go.
I think what we're looking at here.
Nuance. There's some nuance to it for sure.
There's some nuance to it, but I don't think it applies to. I'll try one more that's iconic.
Really, Mattingly's not really. That's not considered junk wax era. A little bit before, even though I know they printed it. But
let's do the Fleer update. This is the Roger Clemens. This is a good one too. PSA 10. 1,400. This has been pretty much the same price for a long time. I don't even think I'm going to have to look at this, but I think it's You can look at some of this data here; they'll tell you stuff, but it's kind of looking at the just really drilling in. This has been 1600. It's kind of down. I don't think this is applying to. I don't think this is applying to the, so 85 tops. Roger Clemens PSA 10. That's 1200. That's been 1200 for a long time. Let's do Mark McGuire. He's an interesting one, and that'll be it. Just because I think we're. Oh gosh, I'm not doing it right. McGuire. I realize how hard it is to spell that. This one's kind of up a little bit, actually. Let's look at this sale. I mean, there might be some outliers. Well, this doesn't sell very often. This doesn't sell much. So
yeah, this is the USA card for McGuire, right?
Yeah, 27, and now it's a 32. Yeah, that's not a whole lot. That's the top. That's the Team USA one. So anyway, all right.
Interesting stuff, man. Well, that was kind of a fun little exercise. So obviously it's nuanced depending on the player card, but something to look into.
I just wonder if that's something people are doing, because I can and I'm using, okay, so outside of just us doing this like, doing the data search, I'm also taking into account, the sentiment I'm hearing from like people in the Griffey community and some people in the one-on-one communities. I got kind of dialed into that little community. The stuff I hear from those people that are collecting like a lot of the important, Panini Prism, Black Prisms, Nebulas, one-of-ones, the base tops chromes in the 2000s, 2004 to 2009 tops chrome base basketball mainly, but baseball too, the base supers, one-of-ones, and just all those really super cool cards. You got your exquisite crowd, from the 03 to, so you got these little pockets of people, and they're all kind of into all these cards, but then there's like this. A lot of us that are into these cards are like, we started with these cards. These are the cards that matter to us when we were kids, and those are the ones we want to go back and get. I think there's maybe some exhaustion seeing all these big high record sales for everything all the time. It's like, okay, that's just getting out of hand. I can't even afford that. There's no way I'm going to be able to afford that. Okay. Instead of being frustrated and getting angry about it. It
seems like, too, just based on what we were looking at, it seems like, too, that it might just be more of an extension of, like, player collectors that are, because we saw the movement on Griffey and Bonds in particular, and we both know that there's a lot of collectors in that zone, whereas maybe not as much on, Jose Canseco. Although there is, a lot of Barry Sanders collectors, so, the fact that 89 score hasn't really moved up, who knows? Maybe that's just a function of how many are available at any given point. The pop is fairly high, for the PSA 10. But yeah, that's going to be kind of fun to watch.
So let's veer off of that. Have you talked about your binder project a lot? I mean, on your shows, you've talked about.
I did a video on it, and I was just going to do it kind of in stages as I get more, because I got like the first 7 or 8 cards, and it's just exactly what we were talking about, like Hoops, David Robinson. I got Diamond Kings, like from Don Russ, like Bo Jackson and Griffey. I've got like a Fleer Ultra Shaq rookie, so I'm just kind of slowly building it out, taking my time with it, because I want to curate it, even though it's not that hard to curate, because there's like very defined cards. But it's not even just of stars too. It might be, who knows, like it could be Muggsy Bogues, or it could be like somebody else. It's not even necessarily like, if it was just a cool card that I had as a kid, then I might throw it in there as well.
Like Rex Chapman. Remember Rex Chapman?
Yeah, Rex Chapman, any of these guys. There's some cards that just kind of like bring back memories. I remember 89 score Bubby Brister. He was a quarterback for the Steelers. He was like kind of he was a young quarterback prospect. And it's like, is Bubby Brister the next guy for the Steelers? And then of course he wasn't, but it's just stuff like that. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, he kind of ties it back in. The Greg Jeffries thing always cracks me up, because I was really more baseball. And that he was, and there's Todd Van Poppel, Ben McDonald, you go down that, Kevin Moss, you start talking about all those guys, Brian Jordan, I think it was, but Jeffries was like the first. Canseco was a huge chase for the rookie card. Jeffrey was the first prospect. Yeah. Greg Jeffries, Wally Joyner to a degree too, but Greg Jeffries was the first, like, he was the like a Bowman Chrome prospect guy back then, that we all like freaked out when we would open up the 89, because that was when you were opening up 89 and getting his Future Stars card, and then realizing it's not his rookie card. 88, you got to go to 88. So you got to go find packs of $88 to get his rookie card. It was just, I don't know, man. Something about that chase and the feeling you got when you pulled a card of a guy like that, where he's not even You know, he didn't really. I mean, he had a pretty decent career, if I remember right, but not a bad career at all. But just not the hype. The hype was the first time hype like just destroyed a card of a player. Like we just realized how many were printed, and it just made it all like So
I know. Let's do a part 2 on the nostalgia from that time period, because there are a lot of people that can relate, and there might be young people too that weren't there for it, and they can kind of hear what that first card boom looked like. You know, going back 35 years, we can talk about it. I got to actually jump. I have to go grab my kids from school. So until next time, DPZ. Thanks again. Well, half an hour just flew by like usual, but let's do it again here next week if we can.
Sounds good, guys. Take care, everybody.
All right. See ya.